Excellent. Now, I want to ask you, we've talked to Yamato a lot about Splyce and how far they've come. As a player
Hmm.
on the team, having played with them last split, into this split, very different results, obviously. What has it been
Hmm.
like to see this transition with the team going from a bottom table team to number 2 seed, possibly a first round bye?
I mean, obviously, it's a really great feeling, you know. Being used to losing a lot is never great, so turning it around and actually showing that we can compete at the highest level is great. So yeah, overall, we're just all really happy. Honestly, sometimes it's a bit surreal that we're this good or like this high rated, but it's starting to we're starting to figure out that we are actually can compete against the best in the league, and we are showing that we are consistent in our play. So I'm really happy.
And Yamato's given us his opinions on why the team's improved so much. I want to ask you why you think exactly the team has improved so much, and we'll check your answer versus Yamato's and see if they match up.
I think it's a mix of a lot of different things. It's one that we all of us got a lot of experience and from last split, and kind of the good old absorbed our failures, you know. But on the other hand, it's also that we are just holy shit. There's an insane thing in my face. Oh no. Yeah, we just all kind of just grew together as a team, and with help of Yamato, we all got a really good understanding of the game. So everyone is thinking for themselves in game, and this kind of doing the right things by themselves. And that is why I think we're working so well together, is because everyone know what to do in game, and no one is really choking on stage anymore. We are all playing well together, and we don't really have any issues in terms of like personality, etc. So everything is just working out well for us, and I think that's why we are succeeding.
Playing last split in the spring, more of a struggle. Did you see the potential for the team being this good, or was it hard to see that during the difficult period?
I mean, I've always seen all of the guys from last bit, like Kobe, Senkooks, and Wonder, as really talented players. Like they're really young, they are eager to get better, they work hard, and they have really good mechanical skills. So it was all about us figuring out how to play together as a team, and finally that is kind of working out now.
So it's more about for you the team coming together more so than individual performance getting better.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, I think Yamato has said this before, is that he believes in all of us players as individuals and kind of working together. Kind of working together is what we had to figure out how to do, and it's starting to show.
Well, you are the number 2 team in the region right now. Do you feel like the second best team in the region behind only G2? Do you feel like you're better than everyone else? You can tell
Hmm.
us.
I think right now, yes, but as playoffs are coming up, it's really hard to say, because playoffs is a completely different thing, and none of us has ever played in playoffs before. So I don't think we can just say that we're gonna become the second best team in playoff and show that we're this good. We have to work out and show that we can compete at this level in playoffs too, because you never know how if you're gonna be super stressed, or we can't handle the pressure playing on a big stage, etc. So yeah, I'll have to see in playoffs. So for right now, we're just taking one game at a time and see how it goes.
Well, how do you feel now? Are you excited for the playoffs? You looking forward to it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. Like for me, usually at this time it's spells relegation, so it's really good to have changed it up and actually gonna play in the playoffs. As I said, I've never played in playoffs before, so I'll just have to see how it goes. But I have really high hopes for us in the playoffs. And I think as of right now, if we were gonna end up in a final against G2, we will actually be able to compete against them.
Well, you just beat Fnatic and H2K, a pretty nice series of teams there to go 2-0 against. For Fnatic, we have actually a question in the chat here. What, in your view, is Fnatic's biggest weakness right now, playing against them and beating them as you did?
Hmm. I actually think the series we played against them should have ended 1-1. I think first game they should have won. But for Fnatic specifically, I think their drafting is a big issue. And because the drafting is the issue, it's kind of sometimes hard for them to have like clear win conditions in the game. And that is one thing I think they're failing at. And then I also think after the kind of Gamsu Kikis thing, they have some internal issues that they have to figure out. But other than that, they have really strong players and they have a lot of experience. And I think by playoffs they will be really strong, and we have to play our best to compete against them.
This may be a difficult question to answer, but now that you're a number 2 seed, playing as well as you are, does it feel different in the game against the Fnatic, against an H2K, who have been very good teams traditionally now? Does it feel different
Yeah.
in the game, like you feel more confident in the game?
Yeah, I think for example the game against H2K, the first one where we fell behind in early game, we were like down 0-4, 0-5 or something. I think if that was a game last season, we would just crumble completely and just lost in 20 minutes. But instead we are really good at understanding the state of the game and understanding what we have to do in terms of winning the game. So we're not hesitating if we see an opening where we think the enemies are doing a mistake, and just going for the play. And when we commit on a play, we commit 100%, and no one is backing off or questioning the call or anything like this. So yeah, right now I think everyone is just really confident. And obviously, if you win, we won the last 14 out of 15 games, then you're not doubting yourself in the game. You always think that you can come back, and I think we as a team have probably, together with G2, the strongest macro play in mid-late game. So for us, it's never a problem if we fall a little bit behind, because we know what to do in game and know how we can come back in games.
We've seen in the past year some international success from teams in the West. We've seen CLG, of course, get second place at MSI, really big statement for them. Do you feel like you are a team who can go to Worlds and actually make a real run and threaten for the championship?
That's a big question.
It is.
Honestly, I really don't know. I don't know. Like the game is constantly changing, and we are a team that we are very strong when we understand the meta and we know what to play, and we are really good at figuring out and picking up new champs for a new patch. So I'm actually pretty. I think we can do well if like a new patch is going to come for Worlds, etc. If we're actually going to go to Worlds, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
But I think as of right now, I watch all regions and I see flaws in their play that I think we could abuse. So I think I think we can definitely compete, and I'm confident that we can play up with the best teams.
Did you feel more confident watching at MSI, CLG take second place, watching SKT lose 4 games in a row? Do those things make you feel more confidence in your potential ability to have the same impact on a big stage, on the world stage?
In terms of SKT losing, I think it was more about them just having like didn't have the grasp about how to play the meta. But of course, I love it when I see that Western teams can actually compete at international play. It makes our hopes a little higher. You know, we haven't really had the greatest success in the past in the West. So I think this year I don't really see Korea as a region where they play like perfect games. We see SKT losing a lot. We see Rox Tiger sometimes have questionable games. So I think this year, I hope this is the feeling I have about this year, is that Western teams can actually compete against the Korean teams.
Objectively, do you think, just looking back at the teams here, do you think Splyce, G2, TSM, CLG, for example, could play and perhaps beat in a series the best teams from Korea? SKT, Rox Tigers, etc.
As of right now, I don't think so. But with the prep that goes into Worlds, which is a boot camp usually in Korea, where the best teams from the West practice against these teams, I think the teams we have right now, which is the top teams, is like G2 and TSM, actually have players that are really fast at learning and adapting and have really smart players. So I think learning against the best teams from Korea and then understanding the way they approach the game, I think by Worlds, a team like G2 should have a good chance of at least playing up with their best.
As long as they don't take a vacation, that's very important. But as long as they avoid that, they should have a good shot at Worlds.
No more EU vacations.
No more GT, no more G2 and 8. Talking about you more individually now. How do you feel you stack up in the jungle against your EU fellow junglers?
Hmm. Mm. I, I think that question is really hard because the way I approach the game is not, "Ooh, this jungler is better than this jungler," or "this jungler is better than this jungler." The way I see it is, how well are you gonna play with your team, and how well are you gonna utilize your role in order for you to set up your team to succeed. And I think in that regard, I'm doing very well in the split. And that is what I'm focusing on. I don't think I'm the best mechanical jungler. I don't think I'm the best jungler that can just take over games and carry games. But I understand my role in my team very well, and I always try to set up my team for success. And that is my role in my team. But playing against the best junglers in the EU, like. The guys that are coming to my mind is like Trick, it's Spirit, it's Jankos. Those are probably guys I would rate the highest, and practicing against them every day has made me realize that I can compete against them, and I can understand what they do in game and make counter plays to this, or set up things for my team that will make me even to what they do, and so I'm not really scared of playing against any jungler, especially in EU, or I don't think I would be on the big stage either. I'm just focusing on what I can do to my team and setting up plays that will help our win condition succeed.
To what extent do you affect your own play based on the individual jungler you're facing? For example, if you're facing Trick versus Spirit, do you play differently substantially against one of the two? You don't have to give us all the secrets, of course, but does it impact your individual play depending on the individual jungler you're set against?
Absolutely not. Like against specific players, we have specific strategies in terms of what jungle champions I can play. I can play pretty much any champion my team wants me to play, and it's the way we prioritize champions are not the same for every game. It's depending also on what the enemy jungler likes to prioritize. So in that regard, I'm very flexible, and I'm willing to play whatever champ my team wants me to play. So no, I don't think differently. I think Spirit is a lot more in-your-face jungler that wants to fight you, where Trick is a lot more controlled and kind of focus on vision over ganking, and then setting up plays with the vision he provides for his team. So in the way I think about jungling, I think the way Trick thinks about it is probably a bit more correct. But as we can see, like Spirit's style of play is also working really well for him as a specific. So no, I don't think too much about how their specific play style when I play against them. It's more about what I can do for my team.
How about the lane changes coming up? Most people are talking about how it impacts the bottom lane, how it impacts the ADC position, making it more important. But as a jungler, going between lanes and doing your own thing, as junglers do, how does it impact you without having been able to play that in competitive play just yet? How do you think it's going to impact your jungle play?
I mean, obviously, if every game is standard lane, then the jungle matchup also will probably be high priority on early game junglers that can kind of dictate the early game, especially around bot lane. So we are probably not gonna see like the thing with jungling right now is that in lane swap you can kind of get past the early phase of the game, where the hyper early game junglers can kind of dictate the game. So lane swaps, you can kind of get, like for example, if you're playing Gragas against Elise, then you can kind of get past the early phase where you're weak with Gragas. But if lane swaps are completely removed from the game, then a lot of it will just come down to early game jungling, and whoever has the better early game jungler can pressure the game. And that's why I'm not really a big fan of the change. I think right now the state of the game is actually really great. I think you are able to play a lot of different styles. You have diversity in champion pool. But if this change comes out, then you will nearly always see high priority on early game junglers, and I think that's kind of a shame, because I think some of the beauty of the jungle is also that you can play really smart early with lane swaps and get through to team fights and show up big with big plays, like with Gragas, for example. So I'm not a big fan of it, but I haven't tested it yet, so we will see when it comes by.
You'll have to find out, I guess, when it comes live. Speaking of jungle changes, you're someone who's known for playing some Nidalee at times. She's going to have some changes. Those have been, I would say, controversial, perhaps, is the word I'm looking for. How do you feel about the Nidalee changes coming through?
The numbers, if I remember correctly, are getting buffed a little bit on the queue, but overall it's the auto reset thing they're changing. I'm not a big fan of it, honestly, because the thing about Nidalee is that her early game is not necessarily the strongest. It's more like when she hits the jungle item, she can really put pace on the game and snowball. But the auto reset thing is actually a thing that the best Nidalee players can abuse in terms of their jungle clear speed. And I think removing that is bad overall for the game, because I think you should get rewarded for actually mastering a champion like Nidalee with speeding up your clear speed. So I'm not a big fan of it, honestly. I think removing more skill from the game is a bad thing. But that is my point of view on it.
Stepping back now a bit, looking at your career, you had a number of challenger team spots before you went to the LCS. Now you had this great success in the LCS, being a number 2 seed with Splyce. Did you ever wonder if that success in the LCS would come?
Ooh, I mean, obviously, yes. Like, it's no. I mean, the truth about it is always like you're always aiming for the best possible thing you can do, and obviously, when you're not succeeding for a long time, which is me, I think played 1 year in LCS without actually getting a lot of good results. So of course you're questioning yourself: are you actually good enough to play this level, or are you actually maybe you should just retire or something like this? But Yamato trusted me, and he put emphasis on wanting me to play for the team still, and I just put 110% into working hard and trying my best every day, and I think that is probably why I'm still playing. I'm not gonna just give up halfway through just because I wasn't good enough or something like this. And I'll just try to work even harder and see if I can reach a level that I'm happy with. And I think by now it's getting a lot better, and I still think I can improve on a lot of things. But right now I'm satisfied with the way I play, and it can only get better with time.
My last question for you. You've come all this way now. You have this moment where you have the playoffs ahead of you. You have perhaps Worlds ahead of you. What does it feel like to have that long journey and now to be here with playoffs, with potentially Worlds, the biggest stage you could possibly play on in the game? What does it feel like to have that right in front of you?
Ooh, I mean, one of the first teases I got from playing on a big stage was in Challenger finals around like 2 years ago when I played for H2K, and I played at Wembley, one of the smaller Wembleys that was around like 5K people, and that was where I kind of got the first feeling of playing in front of like 5K people, and it was really hyped. And I still remember that day where I played on that stage, and it's something I wanna kind of get to feel again on the big stage. So that is like a big motivation for me to get to that thing, and I'm gonna work my ass off to get to Worlds if possible, and either like, if we don't go to Worlds, I will probably be at a state where I felt like I did everything I could to get there, and if that's not enough, then that's fine too, you know. So right now I'm just focusing really hard on giving my everything to try to get to Worlds.
Well, if you do make it here to America, we have some pretty big stages for you waiting for you to play on. So you'll definitely get a taste of that, I think, at the Staples Center and everywhere else if you make it that far. So I wish you luck, Trashy, and thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm glad it is. It's a pleasure to have you, more so, I'm sure. I want to thank everyone for watching as well. Be here back same time next week with Yamato Cannon. Follow the channel if you like the show. See you on YouTube if you missed it. Thanks for watching.